Saints-Titans review. The Saints and the Titans started the Saints 2023 season. The Saints win 16-15 at home. Just want to make sure I have the numbers correct here. We do play some Monday Night Football against the Panthers, so we'll probably preview that game for the Saints on Friday. But the Saints win 16-15. Derek Carr, 23 of 33, 305 yards, one touchdown, one horrible interception that people, of course, always laud Derek Carr over in the red zone is that he shrinks sometimes. Jamal Williams, 18 carries, 45 yards. Chris Olave, 8 catches for 112 yards. Here's where I start to get excited. Chris Olave, 8 catches, 112 yards. Rashid Shaheed, 5 catches, 89 yards. Michael Thomas, 5 catches, 61 yards. DeJuan Johnson, 3 catches, 35 yards. But the red zone offense has to be better. We have to convert. We have to get in those positions because I think Derek Carr showed us that the Saints are possibly going to have a different offensive identity, and here's why. The Saints finished their week 1 win over the Titans with 282 net passing yards. Derek Carr threw for 305 and then lost 23 yards to sacks. Now, that number is important because the highest net passing yards the Saints have posted since Drew Brees was their quarterback. The offense is kind of starting to look like itself again. And if you're curious as to what I mean, the Saints haven't had more net passing yards since a win Christmas of 2020. I think that's when Alvin Kamara ran for the 6 touchdowns in fantasy football. If I remember correctly, they had 319 yards. Their highest number last year was 235 yards. It was 271 yards a year ago with Drew Brees, right? I think the year right after Drew left. You come out first play of the game, shot to Michael Thomas. Like, you get Michael Thomas involved. I love that. We haven't seen him a lot. He's got the money. He just speaks out about his injuries. Get him the football. We saw a good bit of Michael Thomas. Rashid Shaheed with the receiving touchdown. I said Shaheed would be such a key part of this offense, and he turned out to be such. Chris Olave. Here's what I like. We saw year after year after year as Drew Brees was going out that it was a dink and dunk offense, just like I was talking about with Rush and Sean Payton. It was dink and dunk. We weren't getting a whole lot of big plays. It's hard to win with 14, 15, 16, 17-yard plays in today's NFL. Like, you've got to have cheap plays, big plays, plays of 20 yards, plays of 45 yards. Love that first play to Michael Thomas. Love the big shot to Chris Olave that some thought could have been called pass interference right off of Chris Olave's hands. I hate to see that, right? But we're dialing it up. That is what matters. We're dialing it up, and it showed in the net passing yards area. I was tired of not seeing the Saints coach in big moments with big offensive plays. And I even said when Dennis Allen came in, I hope it's a new era. I hope we get aggressive. I hope we let it sling 5 to 7 times a game on big shots. Because when we got 2 attempts and Drew connected on 1, I was drooling. The last big shot I remember from Drew Brees was the last touchdown pass to Traquan Smith, or his 50-yard bomb to Emmanuel Sanders, I think. Was that against the Bears in the playoffs? I can't remember. But the Saints have to get to this. And we know this is Derek Carr, big gunslinger. Dennis Allen obviously had some toolage under him. So we've seen that they can really work together in this aspect. And I love that output again. The most net passing yards since Drew Brees was the quarterback, December 25th of 2020. They have not had more net passing yards since that day. So damn near 3 years, 3 seasons, and 1 game of Derek Carr. Now let's let it be mistake free. I don't want to see Derek Carr throw more red zone interceptions like that. That was fucking hideous. We will not win football games like that. If we count on Derek Carr for a few of those this year, we're probably going to lose all of those games or most of them. Because let's be real, if the Titans don't throw 3 interceptions, we might lose that football game because we were playing down to our competition, which I'm tired of the New Orleans Saints doing when we are clearly the better football team. Another big factor from the Saints defensive showing, Saints quarterback hits in 2022, all of 2022, 34. The Saints quarterback hits versus the Titans on Sunday, 10. A third of your quarterback hits from last season generated this year. And here's the thing is the Saints had, I think, the 6th or 7th most sacks last year with a little mixing of Demario Davis, Kaden Ellis, Cameron Jordan was trying to do his thing. But outside of that, and I feel like the big story for the roster in the offseason for the Saints was we need trenches. We need better foundations. We need defensive line help because Cam Jordan got his contract. That's why we bring in Isaiah Foskey. That's why we bring in Brian Bresee. I see a play from Brian Bresee as well in the game that I absolutely love. I absolutely love to see that type of stuff. And I want to see that continue to get doubled down on. I want to see that defensive pressure be able to be generated because I mean, yeah, the defense looked good. The defense looked really good. Shout out to the defensive line. Shout out to the secondary. Marshawn Lattimore making plays everywhere. Marshawn Lattimore with that pick on DeAndre Hopkins remind me of when we turned that momentum against the Eagles in the divisional, baby. Marshawn Lattimore, interception over Zach Ertz, or it might have been Dallas Goedert. I want to say it was Zach Ertz, though. Eagles were defending Super Bowl champs that year, the year of the no call. Oh, horrible. Absolutely horrible. But shout out to the secondary. Shout out to Paulson Adebo. Shout out to Alontae Taylor. Shout out to Marshawn Lattimore. Shout out to the guys that gave us that top 5, top 7 defensive passing unit last year. Great. I love it. I want to see more out of Isaiah Foskey. I want to see more out of Brian Bresee. I want to see Jalen Smith get activated to that linebacker position from the practice squad because I know that is a very productive, very valuable guy that can do a lot for us. And I really think if Jalen Smith had possibly played this game, I mean, yeah, the defense looked good, but hell, it might have looked better, And I think when the time comes for us to have to get really physical up the middle, which shout out to us. I mean, we held. I want to say that was the first time us playing Derrick Henry because the last 2 times we played him, and we held him to 15 carries for 63 yards, no touchdowns, 4.2 yards average. So when you hold the King to that, I mean, that's nothing to complain about. You're very, very satisfied when you're able to hold Derrick Henry to really less than 90 yards. Hell, even less than 70. And we did that. So shout out to the defensive line. Shout out to the secondary. Yes, Ryan Tannehill is mid. It's just going to be a matter of when do the Tennessee Titans move off of him. It's probably not going to be long before we see him Malik Willis. Now, yes, the Titans in week 1 do have to get some rust off because they did face an elite defensive unit in the New Orleans Saints. I love what the defense showed us. I like what the offense is trying to show as well. Clearly, we missed Alvin Kamara. Jamal Williams didn't get too much of a push up front with that Saints offensive line. Trevor Penning, what the hell are you doing? Cesar Ruiz, what the hell are you doing? Like, come on, guys. Derek Carr being hurried, being rushed. If you want to get back to the winning ways, what the New Orleans Saints used to be when we set a record for the most wins in 4 years and no Super Bowl appearances, it was because of our offensive line, which led to our offense being so lethal. Do I want to set more records without Super Bowl appearances? Fuck no, I don't. Absolutely not. But I do want to see that offense return to what it previously was. So shout out Derek Carr for a good game. Can't wait to have Alvin Kamara back. We'll have him back soon enough. I got to see better offensive line play. Defense virtually flawless. Saints do play down to their competition. I want to see better play calling out of Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. Wasn't necessarily a fan of some of the situations that we got into in that football game.